Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. Opposition leader Philip J. Pierre is highly critical of the government's handling of the COVID-19 response and its presented budget. Pierre dubbed the budget unrealistic and warned that the stated policies are simply a comfort to a fool. He says an SLP administration would have done things very differently, with bonuses for essential workers and millions of dollars worth of support for vendors and those in the creative industries. Fluff and bluff that has left him unimpressed and unconvinced. Political leader Philip J. Pierre says the budget was not designed for effective post-COVID response, but rather crafted as an election budget. It is his analysis that the budget does not adequately respond to the needs of the citizenry amid the post-COVID-19 economic realities. During the budget debate, Pierre was adamant that an SLP government would have managed the response to the COVID-19 pandemic more effectively and would have crafted a more appropriate response. The proposals in the government's budget, he says, are intended to accomplish all that was not done during their 4-year tenure, as opposed to dealing with the realities post-COVID-19. The pandemic, he says, simply caught the current UWP administration with its pants down.
What is in the budget that can realistically help or ease the sufferings of the majority of St. Lucians? An SLP government would have responded very differently from this government. An SLP government would have ensured that the people, the sufferings of the people of St. Lucia would have come first before any other project, Mr. Speaker. We would not have repurposed funds from the Climate Adaptation Fund, but instead take advantage of the IMF interest-free loan to provide $15 million worth of assistance to small and medium-sized enterprises.
Pierre underscored the need for support and protection for those in informal sectors and argued that while their plight is being ignored by the current administration, an SLP government would do different.
An SLP government would make available $5 million of assistance to vendors and other micro businesses to feed their families during this time of low economic activity. These vendors could be easily identified because they make payments to the city councils and to the village councils. An SLP government would understand the contribution made by healthcare workers, nurses, doctors, and first responders with a bonus of $1.2 million as an expression of gratitude to them for their services. An SLP government would support our creative industry and media workers who are unemployed because of the closure of hotels and other places of entertainment by giving them a grant of $3 million.
He says even the approach to reopening leaves much to be desired.
An SLP government would prepare the country for the proposed reopening of the borders by obtaining temperature testing equipment and rapid COVID testing apparatus. We propose an initial amount of $5 million for that purpose. An SLP government would assist the small hotel and ancillary hotel sector with a grant of $10 million to assist their tour operators, dive and pleasure boat operators, Airbnb owners, to assist them to meet their business and other commitments during this time of no income.
If the SLP were to win the next general election, constitutionally due in June 2021, Pierre will get his chance to manage a post-COVID-19 economy. It is a daunting task, no matter which party is in power. But Pierre makes the point that astute leadership and prudent decisions will steer the ship in the right direction. The government, for its part, argues that its COVID-19 response in all aspects has been comprehensive and successful, and that the budget policies will create jobs and jumpstart the economy in the post-COVID-19 era. In his capacity as the Minister for Information and Broadcasting, Dominic Fedee is calling on the current crop of media workers to engage in fair and balanced journalism. Fedee says the government of the day has been transparent and as welcoming as possible, and so the media should take their obligation to disseminate the truth to the nation more seriously. Rochelle Gonzalez tells us more.
The Minister with responsibility for information and broadcasting took the time out on Thursday to address members of the media on the matter of journalism. As a former media worker himself, Dominic Fede lauded the current crop of media workers, speaking of his admiration for them. However, he said there is a need for proper training.
You guys do a tremendous job. It takes a lot of courage to do what you do. And I admire you guys all the time because, sometimes, you get caught in political crossfire and you may do a story that a political party may not like, either of the two. And you get maybe, you get caught in the middle of what's going on between the two main parties.
Fede said the government has been an open book and that the reception received by members of the media at times is unfortunate. He said fair and balanced truth is not too much to ask for.
I think we've been able to keep a very open and stable media environment, maintaining that, allowing the press their freedoms. You guys can ask anything. We are available to you all. There are so many talk shows that have come up. In fact, just in the last few months, there are about 5 or 6 new talk shows, and that would not have been possible without the right enabling environment. So we kept the laws that are friendly to media. I would have loved to seen more training done. A lot of people would have taken a dim view if, from a government standpoint, we were engaged in training media. We would have been accused of trying to buy the media. But I'm a former media professional myself, and I have my own views on how media should be done and how it should conduct itself. And I would love to see, us go back to those days where we verify before we publish stories, and we ensure that if there's no credible source, that we stand down on stories and we make sure that we take our obligations seriously.
Fede also warned about the pitfalls of social media.
Media has changed a whole lot. Facebook, there are no regulations for it. Anything goes. And I think that while it has helped society, Facebook has created a great voice for a lot of people who did not have a voice before, and I support that completely. But what is what is dangerous about it is that if I don't like you, Miguel, I can create about 8 names and I can damage your credibility and your reputation. And the normal person really doesn't have the infrastructure to defend that. And we have to sit down and discuss media frankly and look at the pitfalls and the advances that media and technology has.
The minister said currently he believes that there is too much division and that the nation has become too polarized. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Rochelle Gonzalez.
The Forces-Jacques Development Committee has donated some 400 food packages to members of the community who were in need and adversely impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. The press relations officer of the committee, Vertilia Stanislas Pascal, explained that the delivery of the food packages is only phase 1 of a number of activities that the committee plans to undertake. Genevieve Gonzague tells us more.
The Forces-Jacques Development Committee was created for the purpose of advocating and representing the collective physical, economic, and social needs of all residents living within the communities of Belle Plaine, Boisden, Espérance, Tibouk, Lac Ouanne, Later, Moka, Saint Philippe, and Ravinclair. Following the devastating effects of COVID-19, where many people lost their jobs or were unable to provide for their families, the committee set out to provide relief. Press Relations Officer Vertilia Stanislas Pascal says this initiative is just the beginning.
The purpose was to reach as many affected families as possible, giving them food and hygiene supplies. We are again planning for phase 2. From experience, it takes about 2 to 3 weeks to source the supplies, package and deliver to the families. And it is hard work. But we enjoyed seeing the smile and happiness on so many faces. So we are looking forward to phase 2.
Pascal explained that a lot of planning and preparation went into the initiative, but it was all worth it.
The Forces-Jacques Development Committee is made up of members of the different sub-communities in Forces-Jacques. In order to get the vulnerable persons, we first carried out a survey of all the households and families in each sub-community. For example, we looked for the number of persons in the household, whether income was affected by COVID-19, the number of children in the household, whether there were any elderly, shut-ins, etc.
The PRO lauded the many individuals who came on board to ensure the delivering of food packages in the community was successful.
We discussed our project with the supermarkets, and one of the supermarkets, being Aeroline Foods, came through to work along with us to get the supplies needed to Forces Jacques. We were funded by a generous anonymous donor. Also, Mr. Clarence Rambali, a landowner and farmer in the community. When he heard of the initiative, he came on board to offer assistance in the form of supplies.
The Forces Jacques Development Committee has pledged to utilize all its natural and human resources for the holistic development of the community. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Genevieve Gonzague.
You're watching the Hot 7 TV Nightly News. Stay with us. There's more coming up after the break.